Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Sterling. Today is Sunday, October 17th, 2021. And it's always a pleasure to get back in touch with everybody here once a week. Remember, these shows are for entertainment purposes only, and all the information that I share with you comes through my guides and angels, counsel, extended team, and famous people from history. So for entertainment purposes only. If these shows are helpful, just remember to like and subscribe and share, and that really does help the algorithms on the back end with YouTube and allows the show to be viewed by more and more people that may benefit from it. One quick thing, I want to go over a topic here at the top of the show here that has a lot to do with what's going on in the world right now overall. And, lots of people are very concerned and very stressed out about what they're seeing in politics and the world economy and supply chain and social unrest. And what I just want to assure you is that, my angels and guides tell me that we're all going to get through this. It's actually going to get incrementally better month by month as we go by. But more importantly, the world is going through a reset over the next 3 decades here. Now, it's not going to take 3 decades for us to feel much more comfortable, but there's a big reset going on here from start in 2020, and then we'll finish up in 2050. And a lot of the problems, concerns that we have over health and society and the economy and supply chain and pandemic and medical issues, all these things are going to be handled, and they're going to be handled in a great way that's going to be perfect and wonderful for humankind. So I want to get that message out there because I know a lot of us may tend to look at the news, and it can be very stressful at times, but all my guides and angels assure me that we're going to get through this just fine. Okay, so I want to get that out there at the top of the show. All the questions for these shows are really submitted through the community board on our YouTube channel, sterlingpsychicmedium.com. We put out a request for questions once a week, usually on Monday or Tuesday, and then that's where we take the questions. I think this week we had maybe something like 300 questions, and so we chose what I'll call a top 42 questions for this show. So with no further ado, let's get rolling on this top 42. Number 42, Sterling, when did you become aware of your psychic abilities? Did your parents or ancestors have these abilities? How did you develop your abilities? So, I get this question all the time, and so I'll kind of paraphrase. I'll give you the short version, is that, all of us have this ability from birth. Some of us come to it, let's say, more fully developed than others. I did not have to study or work on this ability. I had it all my life, but in the early 90s, I met up with Fred Fassett, who was just a wonderful psychic medium in Santa Barbara. And he was really the one that in some ways, and I used to joke with Fred, he shamed me into it because I would go to see him. My wife wanted to go see him, and so I'd tag along with my wife. And when I would see Fred, he would say, why are you here? You have the gift. And then he would shame me into it. So really in the early 90s is where I started to use it. And I remember he would do things like I call it, throw me into the deep end of the pool, so to speak. There'd be, let's say, a lady walking through one of his events, and he'd say, Sterling, what do you get on her? And he'd have me just do an on-the-spot reading, like throw me in the depths of the pool. Sometimes that's the best way to kind of start using the gift. So I really started using it publicly in the early 90s, so good 30 years now. And I owe a lot to Fred Fassett for that. As far as did my parents know about it, or my parents didn't really talk about it a lot. I know my mother and grandmother had the gift, but they called it being highly intuitive. So they never called it out as being psychic or mediumship. And then my father, after my mother passed away in the early 80s, my father started going to psychic. So I know he did not have the inherent ability, but he would go. So I think one other important point, and sorry for going on so long on this first question, but I get asked all the time. I have not read any books on these topics, and on purpose. So I try to kind of keep the information that I receive very clean and clear, and don't want to get to the point where I feel like I've read something somewhere. So I want the information to come through clean and clear. My wife is an avid reader on a lot of topics, but I really don't read any books on these topics or study astrology or anything of that nature. So I really just communicate, real time with my team. So hopefully that helps. at some point, if you feel you want more information on this topic, just let me know on the community board and we can go through it. So hopefully that's helpful. Number 41 on our countdown, what will happen to the kids in Tennessee who are being arrested and thrown into prison for no reason? What will happen to the judge who allowed the police to do this and back them up? So a lot of this to me looks like it was racially motivated, young kids, and it looks like there's new federal laws that will come into play over the next 2 years here. And it looks like the judge, or I'm even seeing plural judges that were involved, will be forced into early retirement. So it doesn't look like the judges will face, let's say, jail time or whatnot, but it looks like they'll be forced into early retirement. So for me, there is some sort of legal justification coming here where these kids will be released and exonerated, but we'll see that over the next 2 years here. Number 40, our countdown. Sterling, I'm interested in knowing if your guides can explain the origins of the different races and different languages of the humans on Earth. I've been told many times that, some people refer to it as the Big Bang Theory, where the universe started, but that's part of it. But the other part of it is the integration of our alien friends and ETs that have helped with planting, if you will, different races and people around the world. So a lot of this has to do with not only how the universe started, but the interaction with extraterrestrials and alien races that help more or less seed the planet. Number 39, we just had a 6.1 earthquake on the Big Island of Hawaii. Do we have anything to be concerned about? More earthquakes, larger volcanic eruptions, tsunamis on any of our islands? Well, yes. In general, there's a lot of earthquake activity going on worldwide. It's kind of following the Ring of Fire, right? The volcanoes, the Ring of Fire. You really can look at the planet and see how the cycles of earthquakes are moving around various seismic plates. So the question, whoever asked this question is more concerned about Hawaii. I do see continued activity there, but they may be more like 4 or 5.0 earthquakes. And I don't see major tsunamis that are going to affect Hawaii. But there's going to be a lot of ongoing activity with volcanoes and somewhat minor earthquakes for many, many years here. So it'll be ongoing, but I don't think it's going to be anything that is going to cause a lot of death and destruction around Hawaii. 38. I read that chemicals in our diet and environment are calcifying our pineal gland. Is this true? What I'm being told is that there are substances in our food, or like fluoride in drinking water, that can cause problems. We'll call it calcification of the pineal gland. And the pineal gland has a big effect on a lot of the hormone structure in a lot of people, the way hormones operate in your body. So there is a factor here that I guess, yes, there are some ingredients in foods. The person has chemicals in our diet. So I think fluoride is the one that I hear. And so remember, it's moderation in all things in life. So, try to break up your diet or your food intake or what you drink in a way that gives you moderation in all things, that provides better balance in life. But yes, it's true that some chemicals can affect the pineal gland calcification. Number 37 in our top 42 countdown. My question is, do we live in a holographic universe? I've heard this question asked before. No. There are parallel universes, not to be confused with, say, holographic universes. So what we experience here on Earth is quite real. This is not a hologram. But I know there are those that have said that they believe that what we're experiencing down here is just one big hologram. My team is telling me it's not a holographic universe, no. Number 36 in the countdown. Please tell us who will win the governor's race in Virginia, scheduled for November 2nd, 2021. And it's between Greg Youngkin, Republican, and Terry McAuliffe, the Democrat. I see Terry McAuliffe winning. But what's interesting is that it almost looks like a microcosm of what played out with the presidential election. So it's almost like the Republican candidates screaming they won when they didn't. It forces a recount. So it's going to be a very tight race. There's going to be a lot of anxiety around the whole race. But when all the dust settles, Terry McAuliffe, the Democrat, will be the winner. Number 35. Is it possible that some souls that come back for a lesson get caught up and make choices that take them back to a similar road? As a result, do they remain in the same cycle of not learning the complete lesson they volunteered for? So you've heard me discuss before that everybody comes down here on a life path blueprint. So once you come down here, there certainly is a scale of achievement, if you will, on your life path. So, whether you complete everything to a large degree or a smaller degree, you always learn, you always move forward, but there may be additional lessons that you want to learn. And then so you will reincarnate. It's all free will, but you never go backwards. You always keep moving forward, but the degree to which you learn may be different. Number 34, our countdown. Will classical music see a resurgence in the education system? Yes. And what they're telling me is there's going to be a huge influx of music and creative programs that will be put into the education programs across the nation. But a lot of it will be driven over the next few years here off of, the new tax laws. So new minimum taxes for corporations that will put more money in the coffers. But I do see more creative programs overall. This person asked about classical music, and I see that as one component in music programs in general and arts. So it's creative arts coming back into the education system over the next few years here, I do. 33, will 45 ever be imprisoned in this lifetime, or will he pass on prior to being incarcerated? Well, I've seen this a few times. I don't see him being incarcerated, but what I do see is him escaping to a Middle Eastern country at some point, and I do see him passing on at some point before he's able to, let's say, embark on any major incarceration. It looks like he does not get incarcerated, and because he eventually escapes to Middle Eastern country, he ends up passing on at some point before he receives a lot of that sort of a situation, being incarcerated. Number 32 in the countdown. If our pet dogs are part of the angelic realm and are sent here to give us love, why have there been reports of dogs killing or being vicious? Well, remember, all of us come down and all animals come down, and dogs, to help teach us lessons, and everybody's life path is interconnected. But what's interesting is that whatever lessons are learned through, let's say, a dog being vicious, are part of the lessons we're supposed to learn. So, some people, I think, sometimes try to define lessons or pigeonhole them into everything that's wonderful and beautiful. And sometimes lessons could take on different components and different the nature of the lesson we're supposed to learn might be different than we expect. So it's all part of everybody's life path, including the animals that come down here. 31, as a parent, can you attract change, fortune, and health for your children? Yeah, absolutely, because love creates everything. So when you put forth, let's say, a great deal of energy and prayer and love towards someone else, you affect not only what goes on here, but how it gets affected on the other side, which can in turn help create, let's say, opportunity and some life-changing effects for loved ones. I think this person asked about for their children, right? Absolutely. In fact, anybody in your life you can help create change for. It does help. The other side does hear. They do listen. And then there's a bit of free will on the other person's part as to how they accept that help. Number 30 in our top 42 countdown. Sterling, do you see the economy going back down? So what's important here is that we're coming out of a post-pandemic, economy. We're in a post-pandemic economy right now, but then we'll be moving into what I'll call the next level of a post-pandemic economy. So the economy will continue to go in cycles. We're not going to see major, let's say, bread lines and huge problems, but we will see a lot of cycles in the stock market, all driven by the way the economy is shifting and changing to the changes that were forced into the economy based on the pandemic. So it will go up, it's going to go up and down cycles, many cycles over the next number of years, but I don't see it going to, let's say, a full-scale depression. Maybe that's what this person was asking. 29. Do you see a cure for lymphedema? I think I said it right. Lymphedema, okay? Yes, over the next 10 years here, this is going to be a benefit from some of the CRISPR technology, the gene editing technology. And lymphedema most often comes up around cancer patients, cancer treatment, as lymph glands or lymph cells get blocked from drainage. So yes, within 10 years, we're going to see a cure that will come out of the CRISPR technology for this, yes. We'll also see some great cures for cancer in the body as we go a few more years outside 10 years, so let's say 12 years from now. But all this is coming about through gene editing technology. Number 28. In the UK, we're experiencing some shortages of gas and some food disruption due to Brexit and COVID. There's a possibility of energy disruption over the winter. That is heating due to diminished gas, electrical supplies. Are we going to have a difficult winter due to these issues? Well, I'm being told in the UK it's going to be a little challenging. It's going to be a little challenging due to supply chain issues that the whole world is experiencing, plus the tariffs. So, the tariffs are creating higher costs for everybody. So it's going to be a little challenging, but I think that everybody's you're going to get through it just fine, but you're going to feel a little bit of a pinch as you go through. I think they're asking about the winter season here. Yeah, all right. So you're going to see a little bit of some challenges here over the next number of months, but everybody's going to get through it okay. So hopefully that helps. 27. Why are there so many UFO sightings at volcanoes? Do aliens activate the volcanoes, or do they receive energy from the volcanoes' activities? Aliens and ETs do not activate volcanoes. It's all through geothermal or geological interaction within the Earth. And really, it's not true. They're just telling me it's not true that you see a lot of ETs or aliens around volcanoes. You do in some cases because they benefit what's called radiant energy. And for whatever reason, radiant energy that comes from volcanoes helps with some of the energy supplies on the ships that aliens and ETs are using. Number 26. Will Congress block the former guy from ever running again? So we're talking about 45 here. What I do see is a lot of federal indictments, federal problems for 45, and I do see enough investigations that it prevents him from running, or he'll try to run, but then it looks like the GOP will put up another candidate. So the answer to this question is, effectively, will Congress block the former guy? It looks like more federal legal problems, they're going to be the cause of that. 25. What are portals? Who travels through them? Do they only occur in sacred places? Can animals travel through them as well? Do they only connect to heaven? Wow, a lot of questions there. So portals are essentially doorways or gateways that are shortcuts in time. So what a portal does is it allows who's ever going through the portal, could be a spirit, could be an ET, an alien, guide, but what portals do is they allow you to transcend time very, very quickly. So something that might be light years away might only take microseconds to cross. They're not gateways to heaven. They're gateways to other dimensions and other galaxies and universes. And they exist in many places around the world and around our universe. So there are doorways that exist in mountains and even volcanoes, but they're essentially doorways. that allow you to move very quickly through time and space. And let's see if I capture everything they're asking. They do not only occur in sacred places, they occur everywhere, many places. And animals can travel through them, yes. 24. Why do some people who have near-death experiences find themselves in what they perceive as hell? Many recount hearing a voice telling them to pray to God at that time and then see the light and are sent back. Do they experience that hell? Well, for me, my guides are saying there's two important points to make here. One is there is no real hell. This is it's like an imaginary experience that the individual creates. So it's just through the creation of the individual when they cross, let's say they get into a near-death experience. But not to be confused, near-death experiences, if you're sent back, that means that that's not an exit point for you. And that's something then that your birth angels and your life path blueprint align in such a way that you need to continue on here. So my guides are saying kind of two points to make here with this question. It's that hell is an imaginary experience created by the individual. And the fact you're being sent back has nothing to do with hell. It has to do with your birth angels and your life path blueprint. So hopefully that's helpful. 23. The information about AT&T and their support of right-wing media policies. People are switching providers in droves. Will this have any effect on corporations? Yes, absolutely. And interesting enough, it's a combination of corporations now being pressured to do the right thing. They say money talks. So if the board directors are concerned about profits for the corporation, see a lot of profit impact from policies or social governance, if you will, the corporation. The corporations will start to make the right decisions. They will, and AT&T will as well. Interestingly enough, this right-wing platform or this channel that AT&T's having a lot of difficulty with actually was part of DirecTV. So AT&T acquired it through their DirecTV acquisition. That's how it got into AT&T, but AT&T, obviously is being more responsible. And remember, these shows are for entertainment purposes only. 22. Can a soul run more than one physical body at a time? No. Each soul is assigned to one physical body at a time. Souls can astral travel, but you don't have multiple souls assigned to the same body at the same time. I think that was the question. Yeah, only one soul is assigned to a body. 23. Can a medium help a client to communicate with a distant ancestor? Yes, absolutely. Mediums can certainly help you connect with an ancient ancestor and family members. No reason they can't, as long as the spirit, the soul on the other side is willing to communicate. And in many cases they are. I very rarely do I find where souls or individuals or ancestors are unwilling to communicate, so they certainly can. Yeah, absolutely. 20. Do your guides and angels see a cure for alopecia and severe hair loss in the future? Yes, and I know I've been asked this question before too, is that within 10 to 12 years here, this again is going to be coming out of gene editing technology and CRISPR technology. And the cure will be, it's from internal outward. So the cure for alopecia is not an external product. It'll come from an internal realignment in the body. They'll come about through CRISPR technology, gene editing technology. But, we're still about 10, 12 years away from commercial availability of that. Number 19, will the president of France, Emmanuel Macron, be reelected? Yes, it does. I mean, they're telling me it's almost like he's facing severe headwinds, so it's like he will make it in. It'll be another 5-year term, and I think the election is 2022 for him. So it looks like it may be I know they're just telling me a lot of people dissatisfied with his handling with the pandemic and some areas of the economy, but even with those headwinds, he will make it back in for re-election. He will. That's what they're telling me. 18. Will there be any consequences for the repeated oaths to the Constitution broken by the Republicans? Yes, but most of the consequences they're going to face will have to do with, say, inability to get reelected. So it'll be a shifting of the power, if you will. So I think this question is asking consequences. I mean, it'll be a fact that they will be removed from office and others will replace them, more Democratic, more moderate, even in some cases, more moderate Republicans. So no direct consequences for many of them. Some of them, and we talked about some of them in the past, but by and large, it's just going to be through the election process and voters speaking their mind. Number 17 in the top 42 countdown. What is the difference between past life regression and Akashic records? So past life regression, by its very terminology, normally done under hypnosis, but you actually are looking at past lives. Now, the Akashic records are like a large digital data center, and that contains all the records of the universe, of everything in the past, present, and future. So, some people, through different types of spiritual psychic medium readings, you can gain access to the Akashic records. In fact, that's where a lot of information comes from for psychic mediumship readings, from the Akashic records. But past life regression is really more focused on the past lives you read, as opposed to some focus on the compendium of all the information, past, present, and future. Hopefully that helps. 16, what caused the loud boom in New Hampshire and Massachusetts yesterday? I guess it was earlier this week. Not an earthquake and no explosions reported. I get quite simply, this was either a meteor or space junk that entered the atmosphere. It looks to me like there isn't a lot of uncertainty about it. Maybe this question was asked earlier in the week, but it's either a meteor or space junk that caused that sonic shockwave re-entering the atmosphere. 15, do ETs befriend our Earth's animals? So do ETs befriend our Earth's animals and pets? Yes, in some cases, animals can communicate telepathically. There are a lot of good animal psychics out there that do just that. But yes, ETs as well can befriend animals, and our pets can communicate telepathically with them as well. 14, there was a discovery recently of sound waves coming from an unknown source in space. Sterling, can you shed any light on this discovery? Yes, I'm just being told this is one of thousands of communications or signals received from deep space that come from light years out, and they are coming from intelligent life, from the universe, from aliens and extraterrestrials. So this is one of what I'm being told, thousands of accounts. So I think this person asked as if it was something recently and very unique, and I'm just being told the government is aware of these communications, and I guess not unique. So it's intelligent life form that's behind it. 13, can you please tell me if 45 really contributed positively to the economy or was just riding on Obama's legacy? Well, what I'm being told was that, like a lot of presidents that come in office, 45 was riding on a lot of the benefits that were put in place in the economy in terms of, employment and growth in the economy and interest rates, but it was riding on a lot of what Obama did. And that a lot of things that 45 did when he was in office were really designed to line his pockets as well as line the pockets of his contributors and other people that he was beholden to worldwide. So I guess the answer is yes. 45 did ride on a lot of the benefits from the Obama economy. And certainly we saw what happened with all the tax reductions and reduced tax rates of corporations, drove up the debt tremendously. So hopefully that answers this question. 12, if you are anxious about something, how can you tell if it is your intuition or if you are just projecting insecurity? Good question. Good question. The simplest way to understand what it is to simply ask your angels and guides to step forward and ask them, is this something that's in my best interest that I should do, or is this something else? In most cases, you'll receive a clear answer from the universe or your guides in some way. You'll get a confirmation. You'll hear the word yes, it's good for you. But so their answer to this is what they're telling me here is ask the universe, just ask your guides plainly, and then look for an answer that'll help dispel some of the confusion. Number 11, is it possible to have one lifetime as a male and all others as a female? Do we pick and choose our sex, nationality, hair color, eye color, etc.? Absolutely. This is all within our ability as we reincarnate. A lot of free will on the other side, and you can certainly choose if you're male or female and your eye color, and that's all part of kind of the master blueprint plan that you'll lay out for yourself. Absolutely. 10, is it possible to change your body cells using thought? Well, yes, because thought creates matter. And everything that we do helps create the reality that we see around us. So yes, the person was asking, you can certainly change your body cells. Body cells have a level of intelligence. And so your thoughts do create matter. Your prayers, your ability to calm yourself down, to focus on a perfect outcome, let's say for health, is all very helpful as an instrument in putting your body in alignment and helping with healing. Yes. Number 9, will Trump lose his case against Twitter? Yes, because the Twitter case will all be based on rules of engagement and what's appropriate for their platform. So every social platform has some sort of rules of engagement and what's appropriate behavior on a platform. And 45 is, his attorneys are arguing this from a point of freedom of speech. So yes, 45 will lose his case. Yes. Number 8, what do you see concerning the energy crisis and the high gas prices? So again, this goes back to one of the earlier questions. This is all part of coming out of a pandemic, post-pandemic economy. And so these have to do with supply chain issues and fluctuations in basics, supply and demand, and the way prices are being controlled, for example, out of the Middle East. All these are going to be cycles. We're going to get through it, but we will see a number of cycles. So the question is, what do you see concerning the energy crisis? We're going to get through it, but there's at least a dozen more up and down cycles over the next year to two here, that 1 to 2 years that we'll experience, but we'll get through it, but more and more cycles. Number 7, when people marry several times, was that part of their life agreement or their growth? Yes, I mean, absolutely. All marriages that you have, that's an easy one. Even if, let's say, you live with somebody for 10 years and don't get the license, all of those are soulmates. And we actually put various soulmates on our path. Many times we have multiple soulmates. So just like multiple marriages, you do put that on your path, and they all teach us very important life lessons. So the answer is yes, it's all part of a soulmate agreement and the lessons you learn down here. Number 6, what future do you see for European Union after Brexit? Will other countries follow Britain? Well, it's interesting. What I see is that there's going to be like there were a lot of supply chain issues and tariff issues created around, Brexit. But it looks to me like what they're telling me is that after about 15 years here, Britain, it looks like the Brexit will be reversed, is what they're telling me. Within 15 years here, we'll see a reversal of Brexit. So the person was asking if more companies will follow. No, I mean, it looks to me like they're going to work through a lot of problems here for the next 10 to 15 years, and then there'll be a reversal and a rejoining of the European Union. Interesting. But that's what they're telling me right now. 5, do you see blockchain technology being accepted in mainstream banking? Yes, in fact, it already is. I think there's already major banks like Chase and Bank of America already utilizing some form of blockchain technology. What's interesting about it is the release of supercomputer technology will make blockchain technology you'll have difficulties regarding encryption and protection. So right now, blockchain is a great way using a massive number of ledgers or across computers worldwide to create encryption and secure banking data. What they're telling me is that as supercomputer technology is implemented, this will put blockchain technology in a rather difficult spot. So it won't be, it actually be able to de-encrypt blockchain. So anyway, there's a little bit of a cycle going on here. It looks like blockchain will come into conventional banking, and after a number of years, when supercomputer technology comes in, it will start to be used less and less. 4, will self-awareness in the majority of the population rise within the next year, as well as people caring how their actions affect other people? It will, you know, and various individuals have talked about our movement from 3rd density to 4th density to 5th density. There'll be a number, you know, a sizable portion of the population that will effectively stay in 3rd density. If you stay in 3rd density, you're not really concerned about other people and kind of the overall goodwill of the universe and spreading love. So I think the way this person asked this question, self-awareness will rise in the population as a certain portion will rise through 4th and 5th density. And that's really has to do about psychic and spiritual awareness, but there'll be a portion that will remain in 3rd density. So hopefully that helps answer the question. Number 3 in our top 42 countdown, every time people on Social Security get a raise, Medicare goes up and takes the raise. So Social Security recipients aren't getting any benefit to the raises. Do you see Biden or Congress lowering or stopping the cost to Medicare so Social Security recipients can finally get ahead? Yes, and for some reason, it looks to me like this is all part and parcel of the bill going through Congress, the social programs bill. There's something there that's going to help negate this factor of the Medicare costs rising. Yeah, so it looks like it's all part of the social programs bill going through Congress. So I guess I think the short answer here is that within a year, maybe 2 years here, they're going to see that kind of a benefit, and that won't be an ongoing problem. Number 2 in our top 42 countdown, do you see anything coming up this week? I unfortunately see more mass shootings, and I don't know why this continues to be a big problem in our society. I do see that. I do see more past presidents coming out in public and really now helping to de-escalate and derail some of the radical GOP Republican dialogue that's going on. So more past presidents getting very, very active in helping candidates. I do see really tremendous movement along the vaccine front and approvals and boosters being available and approval cycles. And I do see medical advancements being announced here regarding reducing the effects of aging, which is interesting. So it looks like something very soon here coming up. This might be part of CRISPR technology, but some advancements being announced here regarding reducing the effects of aging. That's interesting. Yeah. And number 1, do you have anything your guides want to share? Yes. Remember that your thoughts create matter. So the time you spend in love and the thoughts you put out to the universe create your experience, create matter, create the reality around you. So just remember to watch your thoughts, stay in a place of love. And that's not only good for you and your body and your cells, but those around you. And remember that as you put out loving energy, that helps move the universe. So hopefully that was helpful. You know, thanks for joining us today on Sunday, October 17th. And again, if anybody needs to reach me for a session, it's sterlingpsychicmedium.com. Look for the book online tab. My calendar is always up to date. Please remember to like, subscribe, share these videos. It really helps the YouTube algorithm, and hit the notification bell. That way you're notified. And until we meet again next week, I'm wishing you a lot of goodwill and tremendous love to you and your families. I'm wishing you all the best, and I want nothing but the best for everybody, and have a wonderful week. And we'll see you again very soon. Take care.